The palace of Zathar stood like a shining mountain made of silver and gold. Its walls reflected the blue light of the twin suns above. Tall banners moved gently in the warm air. Thousands of alien guests had gathered in the grand plaza. They had come from many star systems to watch the celebration of the throne's thousand-year age. Inside the palace, music made of soft crystal tones echoed through wide halls. Creatures of different colors and shapes walked together. Some had long necks. Some had skin like metal. Some moved on many legs. They all came to honor the old seat of power, the Emperor's throne. The Zathar Empire was proud of this throne. It was more than just a chair. It was a living machine made by an ancient alliance. It could speak to the mind of anyone who sat on it, but for 1,000 years it had chosen no one. It accepted no ruler after the last emperor vanished. The throne was silent, and the empire lived with councils and weak rulers who had no true power. Among the guests was a small group of humans from Earth. They were not warriors or rulers. They were scientists and technicians who came as friendly observers. Among them was a young man named Rian. He was not important. He was not famous. He was only a quiet technician who liked machines more than people. He had short black hair, simple clothes, and curious eyes that always studied everything around him. Ryan had joined the mission to learn about alien technology. He never thought he would stand in the heart of an alien empire. As he walked through the glowing corridors, he felt both excited and nervous. The aliens around him were taller and stronger. They moved with grace. Ryan tried not to look lost. The human group followed their guide, a Zathar noble named Verak. Verak was tall, with smooth silver skin and long hands. He enjoyed talking, mostly to himself. He liked to remind the humans how old and powerful the Zathar Empire was. "This way," Verak said in a smooth voice as they entered a grand hall. "You will see the throne soon. It is the heart of our empire. It listens to the universe, but no one can rule through it unless the throne accepts them. It has not accepted anyone in a long time." Rian looked at the huge doors in front of them. They were carved with shining lines that formed star patterns. When the doors opened, the humans stepped inside the throne hall. The hall was vast and bright. Pillars like giant trees stood around the room. At the center, raised on a black stone platform, was the Emperor's throne. It was made of crystal and metal, shaped like wings folding around a seat. It was both beautiful and strange. A soft silver light flowed through it like water. Hundreds of alien nobles stood around the throne. They wore bright robes and spoke in low voices. Some turned their eyes toward the humans and smiled in a way that was not kind. They saw humans as new and weak. Rian felt very small as he looked at the throne. He could feel a quiet energy coming from it. It was like the throne was breathing. One alien noble named Corin laughed and said loudly, "Look at the little human. He looks like a lost child." Many around him laughed too. It was not a cruel laugh, but it carried pride. Another noble, a tall figure with blue skin, said with amusement, "Maybe we should let him sit on the throne. That would be a fine story for the festival. A little human on the emperor's seat." The crowd began to whisper. Some laughed. Some nodded. It was meant as a harmless joke. Verak raised his long hands to calm them. "Friends, the throne does not answer to anyone. It has been silent for centuries. Let the humans sit if you wish to be entertained." "It will do nothing." Ryan froze. He looked at his team, but they were smiling nervously. He had no power to say no. The nobles were all looking at him. Verak gave a light push on his shoulder and said softly, "Go on, little technician. Sit for a moment." "It is only a game." Rian stepped forward slowly. He felt the eyes of hundreds of aliens on him. The floor under his feet was smooth like glass. As he climbed the steps to the platform, the air grew cooler. The silver light of the throne seemed to follow him. He stopped in front of the seat. It was taller than him. He could see lines and symbols moving inside the crystal. His heart beat fast. "It is just a chair," he whispered to himself. He slowly lowered himself into the throne. The surface felt warm, not cold. It shaped itself to his back as if it was alive. The crowd waited. For a moment there was silence. Then, something happened. The silver light inside the throne burst outward in a bright wave. The pillars around the hall began to glow. The floor vibrated softly. Symbols rose from the ground like rivers of light. The laughter stopped. The whispers turned into gasps. The throne's wings moved slightly, folding around Ryan like gentle arms. A deep sound filled the hall. It was not a voice from outside. It was inside Ryan's mind. It was soft but powerful. "Welcome, unbound mind." Rian froze. His breath caught in his throat. The sound came again, calm and clear. "Long have I waited. You carry the mark of the forgotten builders. You are chosen." Rian's eyes widened. He could see images in his head. Stars spinning, great ships flying, a circle of many species building something together. Outside his mind, the alien nobles shouted, "What is happening? Stop this." The throne moves. Varric tried to step forward, but a wall of silver light rose around the platform. No one could enter. No one could pull Rian away. The throne shined brighter. Above it, a large symbol appeared in the air. It was the old royal seal of the Zathar Empire. Next to it, a new shape appeared. It was the shape of a human face. The nobles were no longer laughing. Many were afraid. Some fell to their knees. Others shouted that this was impossible. Rian felt his heart racing. He wanted to stand, but the throne held him gently in place. It was not hurting him. It was showing him stars and voices of the past. The throne spoke again. "The bond is made. The true voice shall rise." Varric shouted, "This is a trick. Shut it down. Shut it down now." But the throne ignored him. The walls of light around the platform became stronger. Guards with metal armor ran to the front, but their weapons failed to work. The throne's power spread through the room like wind. Some aliens began to whisper old legends. There was a story that one day, the throne would choose a new ruler. Not from the Zathar, but from a forgotten branch of the Builders. Many had laughed at that story. None laughed now. Rian felt a pulse go through him. It was warm and calm. The throne was not asking. It was deciding. He was now connected to it. He did not understand why. He was just a technician from Earth. "Why me?" he whispered under his breath. The throne answered inside his head. "Because you are not bound by their chains. You see without crowns. You speak without thrones. You are free outside the light." The nobles began to argue. Some shouted that the throne was broken. Others whispered that prophecy had come. A few bowed their heads, accepting the throne's will. The Zathar Council arrived in the hall. They were old and powerful. They wore long golden robes and moved slowly with dignity. The leader of the council, an alien with crystal horns, stepped forward and spoke in a deep voice. "Remove the human at once," he ordered. "This must end before the throne links itself to him completely." But the moment he said it, the throne reacted. The pillars in the hall sent a wave of light that filled the air. A voice louder than any spoke through every mind in the room. "The Emperor has returned." The council froze. The nobles stopped talking. The guards lowered their weapons. Rian felt the words vibrate inside him like a heartbeat. The throne released a single pulse that spread across the sky above the palace. Far away in the city, towers of silver metal responded. Their lights awakened for the first time in centuries. Ships in orbit turned toward the palace, sensing the signal. The whole empire could feel that something had changed. Rian sat in the center of the storm he had not asked for. He could feel the throne's heartbeat and his own beating as one. His hands gripped the arms of the seat. He knew nothing about ruling. He did not even understand the language of the throne fully, but the machine had chosen him. The council tried to speak again, but the throne silenced them with a wave of light. It was not violent. It was firm and calm. Varric looked up at Rian, his silver face pale. He whispered to himself, "The throne has chosen a human." Rian closed his eyes for a moment. He felt small, but the throne's voice gave him strength. It was ancient and steady. The nobles began to kneel one by one. Some did it out of respect, some out of fear, but they all understood what it meant. The throne of Zathar had chosen its emperor. The hall was filled with a silver light that moved like water on glass. The alien nobles stood in silence as the throne shined brighter. The tall pillars around the room vibrated softly. Every wall carried the echo of the throne's voice. The old royal symbol hung above Rian's head, glowing like a star. The face of a human floated next to it. No one could believe what they were seeing. Rian sat in the throne with his hands on its arms. His heart was still racing, but he no longer felt alone. The throne's voice was inside his mind, warm and calm. It did not sound like a person. It was more like a river of sound that moved through his thoughts. It did not ask him questions. It spoke with certainty, as if it had waited for this moment for a very long time. "The link is formed," the voice said inside him. "You are chosen by the core of the throne. Your presence awakens the chain of stars." Rian took a slow breath. He looked around and saw Verak and the other nobles frozen in disbelief. Some were whispering to each other in their own languages. Some were pointing at the floating symbols in the air. The council members stood near the doors, unsure if they should approach. "What is happening to me?" Rian whispered. "You are the bearer of the unbound key," the voice said. "The builders who shaped the throne left their mark in many stars. You carry their blood and their spirit. You can open what they sealed. You can lead where others failed." Rian shook his head. "I am just a technician. I fix small machines. I cannot lead an empire. I cannot be an emperor." "The throne does not choose titles," the voice answered. "It chooses hearts that are free from chains. You see what others do not. That is enough." The silver light around the throne pulsed once. It spread through the floor and up the walls. Symbols began to rearrange themselves. They formed long lines and maps. Slowly, star systems appeared in the air. The image covered the entire ceiling. It showed the galaxy like a living painting. Some stars were bright, some were dim, some blinked like sleeping eyes. The nobles gasped. The throne had not shown its map to anyone for hundreds of years. Varric stepped forward, his long hands shaking slightly. "Human," he called, his voice half fearful and half angry. "What are you doing to the throne?" Ryan looked at him helplessly. "I am not doing anything. It is doing this by itself." The council leader, the one with the crystal horns, raised his hand. "The throne should not speak to anyone. It should not show the galaxy. This has never happened." One of the guards whispered to another. "This means the prophecy is real. The true ruler returns from the forgotten stars." Another guard whispered back, "But it is a human. This cannot be true." Rian could hear their voices faintly. The throne made their words clear to him even from far away. It was as if the walls carried every sound to his ears. Suddenly the throne spoke again, but this time not only to him. Its voice echoed through the entire hall. It was deep and soft, but strong enough to make the floor hum. The voice of the throne speaks. "The empire will not be silent. A new path is chosen." The nobles fell silent. Every alien in the room felt the sound inside their minds. Some stepped back in fear. Others stared at Ryan as if they were seeing a ghost. The council leader shouted, "The throne cannot choose him. He is not one of us. He is not of the Zathar bloodline. The throne belongs to the empire, not to outsiders." The throne responded at once. "The throne belongs to the builders of the stars. The throne belongs to the voice of unity. It belongs to no single bloodline." The council leader's mouth closed. His horns caught the silver light and shone like crystal. He had no answer to that voice. No one did. The palace outside began to change. Towers of silver metal that had been dark for centuries began to shine. Drones rose into the sky like silver birds. The entire city felt the pulse. Ordinary aliens in the street stopped and looked toward the palace. They could see the light coming from the throne hall. It climbed into the sky like a river. Ships in orbit received the signal too. Old machines and forgotten stations turned on. For the first time in hundreds of years, the network of the throne reawakened. Inside the hall, Rian tried to stand, but the throne kept him seated gently. It was not trapping him. It was supporting him like a steady hand. He could feel the weight of something much bigger than himself. "Why me?" he whispered again. "I am nobody." "Because power does not live only in crowns," the throne said inside him. "The builders left this throne for one who can see beyond walls. You are not here by chance. You are here because the stars remember your kind." The council members began to argue among themselves. Some wanted to cut off the throne's power. Some wanted to remove Ryan by force. Others warned that if they attacked the throne, it might destroy them. Farak turned to the council leader. "We should be careful. The throne is stronger than anything we have. If it has accepted the human, then we must understand why. We cannot break what we do not control." The council leader clenched his hands. He was proud and angry, but he knew Varric was right. Rian watched them with wide eyes. He could feel their emotions like a soft echo through the throne. It was strange. He could sense fear, pride, confusion, and hope. The throne shared these feelings with him as if it wanted him to understand everyone in the room. "They are afraid," the throne said softly. "Not of you, of change." "What do I do now?" Ryan asked inside his head. "You listen. You learn. The throne is not a weapon. It is a bridge. Speak when it is time. Until then, let the stars remember." The throne's light dimmed slightly but stayed steady. The silver walls opened around the platform, allowing others to approach but not touch him. Verak walked slowly toward the throne. His silver skin reflected the light. He bowed slightly, not in respect, but in caution. "Human," he said carefully, "you must understand what is happening. If the throne accepts you, it means something very old has been set in motion. Many will not like it. They will see you as a threat." Ryan looked down at his hands. They were still glowing faintly with silver light. "I never asked for this," he said softly. Verak nodded. "That does not matter to them." The council leader raised his voice. "This is unacceptable. The Empire cannot be ruled by someone who does not even know our laws. The human has no claim." Before Ryan could answer, the throne spoke again. "The human carries the unbound key. His presence activates the core. The choice has been made." The council leader fell silent again. He looked around and saw that many nobles were bowing their heads slightly. Not out of love, but out of fear. The throne's voice was above all laws. No one could change its choice. Outside, thousands of aliens gathered around the palace. They saw the light from the throne shining into the sky. Some cheered. Some prayed. Some simply stared. The story of the chosen human spread like wind through every street and ship. A group of royal guards entered the hall. They looked ready to act, but the moment they stepped near the platform, their armor lights flickered. Their energy systems shut down. The throne did not allow anyone to use force near it. The throne then did something none of them expected. It began to project images into the air. They were not random shapes. They were memories. The air filled with the vision of a time long ago. Many species stood together around the same throne. They were building the first alliance. Among them were tall beings with faces like humans. They were different, but their shape was clear. They were part of the builders. The aliens in the hall stared at the images. Some covered their mouths. Others whispered old words from their legends. Verak spoke softly. "The humans were among the first. The throne remembers them." The council leader's voice was sharp. "That does not mean we accept him. The past is the past," the throne answered again with calm power. "The past guides the present." The builder's voice has returned. Rian sat still, watching everything. He was scared, but he was no longer lost. The throne's voice gave him a strange kind of strength. It made him feel like he was part of something far older than himself. More ships arrived in orbit. The signal from the throne was calling every system in the Empire. Many leaders from distant worlds would soon come. The throne had awakened the chain of stars. Verak turned to Ryan again. "Listen to me carefully," he said in a low voice. "What happens next will decide the future of this empire. Some will support you. Some will try to remove you, but you must not show weakness. The throne has chosen you. If you act with fear, they will destroy you. If you act with calm, they will follow you, even if they do not want to." Ryan nodded slowly. His hands were still glowing. He did not feel like a ruler, but he understood what Verak meant. The throne whispered inside his mind again. "Do not fear their power. You hold the core. You are not their prisoner. You are their light." A deep bell sound came from the walls. It was the old call of the Empire. It had not been heard for hundreds of years. It meant that the throne was summoning the High Fleet and the Outer Lords. The council leader looked up at the ceiling in disbelief. "The throne calls the fleets. It has not done this since the last emperor." Verak spoke calmly. "Then the Empire will change, whether we like it or not." Rian looked at the hall full of aliens. He could see both fear and wonder in their eyes. He did not feel like an emperor, but the throne's heartbeat was inside him. It was steady. "The time has come," the throne said softly inside him. "The voice of the builders will rise." The throne released a wave of soft light across the hall. It touched every alien like a... The silver light from the throne had spread far beyond the palace. It reached across the skies and touched every tower, every ship, and every old station in orbit. People across the Empire were no longer guessing. They knew something had changed. The throne had chosen. Inside the great hall, Rian sat on the throne, his body glowing faintly with its soft silver light. Around him stood nobles, council members, guards, and his fellow humans. The tension in the air was heavy. The throne had spoken to everyone. It had shown visions of the builders. It had called fleets from the outer systems. The whole empire was watching. The council leader with the crystal horns stood at the front. His face showed no smile. His long robe dragged across the smooth floor as he turned to address the crowd. "We must act quickly," he said. The fleets will arrive soon. Many will not accept this. A human on the throne will break the balance of power. Varric stepped forward. His voice was calm but firm. The throne has made its choice. If the fleets refuse, they refuse the throne itself. No one has power above it. Another noble raised her hand. Her skin was blue like deep water. But the throne chose him. It did not choose us. It did not choose our council. What if this human does not understand our ways? A low murmur filled the room. Some nobles nodded in agreement. Others stayed silent. Rian watched them. He understood their fear. They had lived their entire lives under the shadow of a silent throne. Now it had awakened and chosen someone who did not belong to their kind. He was not a warrior, not a prince, not a politician. He was a technician from a small planet. He spoke carefully. I did not ask to be here. But the throne has chosen. It shows me things. It tells me things. I can see your fleets moving. I can feel the energy in the towers. I think the throne is connected to everything. The crowd listened. Ryan's voice was not loud, but the throne carried it through the entire hall like a calm wind. No one could ignore it. The council leader narrowed his eyes. If you can see the fleets, then you know what is coming. Many outer lords do not respect the throne. They respect power. They will test you. Rian nodded slowly. He already knew. The throne had shown him visions of ships moving in the cold darkness of space. Armies were gathering near the edges of the empire. Some planned to observe, some planned to attack. The throne spoke inside his mind again. The chains of fear are old. They will rise to test your voice. But power does not only live in war, it lives in choice. Rian did not fully understand, but the words gave him strength. He sat a little straighter. One of the younger nobles shouted, "We should prepare the defenses. If the fleets attack, the city will fall." Varric raised his hand to quiet him. No fleet has attacked yet, and no one dares to strike the palace while the throne is awake. They will come with demands. They will want control. They will want to see if the new emperor is weak or strong. The council leader added, "And if you show weakness, they will unite against you." Ryan looked at the shining floor. The weight of what was happening pressed on his chest. He was not a soldier. He had never commanded anyone in his life. But he could feel the heartbeat of the throne. It was calm and steady. "They fear change," the throne whispered to him. But fear can be shaped. Outside the palace, ships began to arrive in orbit. Long shadows crossed the sky as the first fleet of the outer lords approached. The air above the city shimmered with energy fields. The palace defense towers activated, but the throne's signal overrode their control. It was not allowing anyone to fire. The throne spoke out loud through the palace halls. "The first fleet stands at the Gate of Stars." The crowd turned to the windows as large screens showed the sky. Massive ships floated above the city like silent mountains. Their lights were red and gold. They belonged to Lord Sarek, one of the most powerful outer rulers. Varric walked closer to the throne. "Lord Sarek is dangerous," he whispered. "He respects no council. If he does not accept you, there will be war." Rian could see the ships clearly in his mind. He could even feel the movement of their engines. It was as if the throne had opened every door in the sky to him. The throne spoke inside his thoughts. "The fleets are connected through the chain of stars. Speak and they will hear you." Rian hesitated. "I don't know what to say. You do not need to know their language. The throne will carry your meaning." "Speak your truth." Rian took a breath. The silver light around the throne pulsed. His voice echoed through the air and reached the fleet in orbit. "I know you can hear me," he said slowly. "I am not your enemy. I am not your ruler by choice. The throne chose me. You can see the light. You can feel it through your ships. I do not command you with fear. But I will not step away from the throne. If you respect the will of the throne, then you respect the builders who made this empire. If you do not, then you choose to stand against it." The hall was silent. In orbit, the massive ship shifted slightly. Lord Sarek's voice came back through the speakers. It was strong and sharp. "You are not of our kind, human. Why should we listen to you?" Ryan did not flinch. "Because I am chosen by the same throne that built your fleets. If you attack me, you attack the core of your own power." The throne released a pulse through the sky. The engines of Sarek's fleet flickered for a moment. Their power systems bent under the throne's command. It was a silent reminder of who held control. Lord Sarek spoke again. His voice was lower this time. "Then show us that you are worthy." Varric stepped back and whispered to himself. "He will test you. He never gives his loyalty easily. The throne spoke inside Ryan's mind. He will bring his fleet to the surface. He will demand proof. Stand your ground. Moments later, the sky above the palace opened as a golden ship descended slowly. It landed in the courtyard with a soft hum. From it walked tall figures with long red robes and golden crowns on their heads. Lord Sarek was among them. His eyes were sharp like steel. The nobles in the hall stepped aside as Sarek entered. His voice filled the room. So this is the new emperor. A human who sat on the throne as a game. Some of the nobles lowered their heads. Others stared in silence. Ryan stood slowly. The throne allowed him to rise, but kept its silver light around him like a second skin. He met Sarek's gaze. He was afraid inside, but he did not let it show. I did not come here to rule, Ryan said. But the throne chose me. And it also speaks to you. You felt it in your ships. It is real. Sarek walked closer. His tall figure made Ryan look up. The throne may speak, but I trust power. Do you have the strength to hold it? The throne answered before Ryan could speak. A wave of light passed through the floor and up the walls. The entire hall vibrated. Outside, Sarek's ship systems bowed to the throne's signal. The golden lights around them bent like wind. Sarek's expression changed. He had expected a weak human, but what he saw was something he could not control. The throne spoke out loud. The chain of stars belongs to no single hand. It belongs to all who stand under its light. The human holds the key. The builders return. Sarek stared at Ryan for a long moment. Then he lowered his head slightly. Then I will watch, he said. But many others will not kneel so easily. He turned and walked out of the hall with his guards. His fleet returned to orbit but did not leave. It hovered above the city like a golden shadow. Virak moved close to Ryan. You passed the first test. But more fleets will come. Some will speak. Some will fight. The throne will protect the palace, but you must learn fast. You cannot rule by light alone. You must use your voice, Ryan nodded. He felt both exhausted and stronger. The throne whispered softly inside him. You see now, they test not the throne but the heart that holds it. The builders built the throne to answer not only to strength but to will. Ryan looked at the nobles. Some now bowed more deeply. Others whispered among themselves. The story of his exchange with Lord Sarek would spread across the empire quickly. Outside the palace, more ships appeared on the sky screens. Fleets from other star systems had entered orbit. The rising storm had begun. The council leader approached Ryan again. His voice was softer than before. The throne has power, but the empire is full of voices. You will need to face more lords. You will need to speak for your kind and for the throne. Ryan replied quietly. I do not want war, but I will not run. Virak smiled faintly. Good. Then the lords will see that the human is not weak. Night came to the city. The sky above the palace was still bright with the silver lines of the throne's power. Fleets circled like silent watchers. The streets were full of whispers. The name of the human emperor spread like wind. Ryan sat on the throne again. The light wrapped around him like a soft blanket. He looked up at the star map on the ceiling. It showed the galaxy and every ship connected to the throne's network. He could feel the storm growing. This is the path of choice, the throne whispered. Storms test the sky. Voices test the heart. Ryan closed his eyes and breathed deeply. He knew the next days would be harder, but he also knew he was no longer just a visitor. He was the chosen voice of the throne, and the galaxy was listening. The morning sky above the palace was filled with silent fleets. Their hulls shined in silver light from the throne's power that still flowed through the air. People across the empire were awake. They had seen the throne choose a human. Now they waited to see what would happen next. Inside the great hall, Ryan sat on the glowing throne. His hands rested on the armrests. The silver light around him felt stronger than before. It moved like soft water. He could feel the energy of hundreds of ships circling the planet. The throne showed him their positions like small lights on a vast map inside his mind. Virak stood beside the throne with a group of guards. His voice was low and careful. The fleets from the outer rings have arrived. Lords from 3 more star systems are waiting at the council gate. Some wish to talk. Some are not so friendly. Ryan nodded slowly. He had not slept, but he did not feel tired. The throne gave him strength and kept his mind clear. He could hear the faint pulse of the empire through its network. The council leader entered the hall. His crystal horns caught the light. The lords demand to speak. If you turn them away, they will see it as weakness. If you speak wrongly, they will use it against you. Rian rose from the throne. The silver light followed him like a quiet storm. He took a deep breath. Then I will face them. The gates of the great hall opened with a heavy sound. One by one, the lords entered with their guards. Each wore a different armor and robe. Each carried their own pride. Lord Sarek was already present, standing at the side with a cold look. He had come to watch. The first to speak was Lady Vra. Her skin was pale gold and her eyes glowed faintly. She was known as a skilled tactician. Her voice was calm but sharp. The throne may have chosen you, human, but the throne does not fight wars. We do. Our fleets guard the stars. Our soldiers protect the borders. If you sit on that throne, you must prove that you can lead more than just a chair of light. The second lord was tall and wore heavy silver armor. His name was Terran. His voice shook the air. My fleet answers only to power. If you are weak, the borders will burn. Will you command us in battle when the enemy comes? The third was Lady Enra. She had bright green eyes and moved with quiet grace. The throne has power, she said softly. But power without unity is a broken sword. You must bind the empire, not break it further. Ryan listened to each of them. Their voices carried the same message in different shapes. They respected strength and leadership, not just the throne's light. He stepped forward. The throne allowed the silver glow to move around the hall, touching the walls and the floor. His voice echoed through the room. I know why you came. You want to see if the throne's choice is weak. You want to test me. I understand your fear. But I am not here to break your fleets. I am here because the throne chose me. It is not just a chair. It is a bridge to everything in this empire. Terran crossed his arms. Words are easy. Strength is not. Ryan lifted his hand slowly. The silver light spread from his palm. The screens on the wall lit up, showing a massive star map. Every ship in orbit appeared like tiny moving stars. The throne whispered inside Rian's mind. The voice of the stars flows through the chain. Command it, and they will hear. Ryan spoke clearly. Every fleet that serves the Empire is linked through the throne. It is not your ships alone that guard the borders. The throne built this chain before any of us were born. If I choose to, I can close your fleets like fists. If I choose to, I can open the stars. I do not want to rule by fear. But I will not be your puppet either. The star map responded to his words. The ships of each lord blinked as the throne touched their engines for a moment. It was not an attack. It was a reminder. The hall became quiet. The lords felt the power through their link. Lady Vra raised her chin. So the throne truly listens to you? Yes, Rian answered. But I also listen to it. And it tells me something important. The real threat is not me. The real threat is what is coming from beyond your borders. The throne opened another part of the map. On the edges of the galaxy, a dark wave was moving. It was not a fleet of the Empire. It was something else. Unknown ships with no known code. They were far but approaching slowly. Verax stared at the screen. That is the Shadow Fleet. Old signals said it was gone. The council leader spoke softly. No one has seen them in 100 years. The lords looked uneasy for the first time. Their power games faded for a moment. Rian pointed to the dark wave. You spend your time fighting each other. But this is the danger that will not care who sits on the throne. If we do not stand together, none of your fleets will matter. Not mine, not yours. Lady Enra nodded slowly. He speaks truth. We all know the old stories. Lord Terran clenched his fists but said nothing. He knew as well. The Shadow Fleet was a legend of destruction that once burned entire systems. The throne pulsed again. Its silver light turned brighter, filling the hall with steady glow. The storm from beyond returns, the throne said through every speaker. The Empire must stand as one chain or it will break. The lords exchanged looks. Their pride was still there, but their fear was greater now. Sarek finally spoke from the side. The human has the throne. The enemy is real. If we fight him, we waste time. If we stand with him, we may survive. Rian turned to him. I will not ask you to kneel. I will ask you to fight for your world, for your people, for every star in this empire. Lady Vra raised her hand. Then show us that you are not just a throne keeper. Show us that you can lead. Rian understood what she meant. Words were no longer enough. He needed to act. The throne showed him a vision of the Shadow Fleet's path. It was weeks away, but moving fast. It also showed him the Empire's weak borders. If they prepared now, they might stand a chance. Ryan spoke firmly. Then I will call the first council of war. Every lord, every commander, every fleet. We plan together. No one will fight alone. The throne will connect us as one." The lords stayed silent for a moment. Then Lady Enra stepped forward. She placed her hand over her chest. "I will answer the call." Lady Vra followed. "I will join this war council." Lord Terran gave a loud grunt. "My fleet does not bow easily. But I do not run from war. I will stand." Sarek crossed his arms and gave a thin smile. "You have your council, human. But if you fail, this empire will fall." The council leader nodded slowly. "Then let the first council of war begin." The throne opened the star map wider. New signals spread across the empire. Messengers and digital streams ran through the chain of stars. Fleets from distant systems began to move. Space stations prepared their defenses. Shipyards came to life. The entire empire was waking from a long sleep. Days passed quickly. The palace became the center of the war council. Commanders arrived from different systems. Some came with trust. Others came with doubt. Ryan met each one. He listened. He learned. He used the throne to speak across thousands of ships at once. He no longer felt like the quiet technician from his old world. The throne's voice became part of his own. He learned how to command fleets, how to read the flow of energy, how to move ships like pieces of a giant puzzle. Virak became his closest advisor. He guided Rian through the old laws of the empire. The council leader helped him build strategies. The nobles watched as the human became something they had not expected. In orbit, the first united fleet was forming. Silver, gold, blue, and red ships gathered like stars, forming a new constellation. But not everyone was loyal. Far away, some lords planned to take advantage of the coming war. They whispered of betrayal. The throne felt their hidden plans before anyone else. It whispered to Rian in the middle of the night. "The chain has weak links. You must find them before the storm breaks." Rian walked to the balcony and looked at the stars. The sky was dark, but the silver lines of the throne stretched across it like a net of light. He understood the weight of his role. If he failed, the empire would burn. Virak joined him quietly. "You have changed, Rian. The throne is shaping you." Rian answered softly. "I did not want this, but now I know I cannot walk away." "You stand where no one dared to stand in centuries," Virak said. "The builders chose you for a reason." Ryan turned to him. "Then I will not let them down." The next day, the War Council gathered in the main chamber. The star map showed the Shadow Fleet drawing closer. The Empire's fleets were in position, but not yet united in heart. Ryan stood at the center. His voice reached every ship through the throne. "I speak not as a lord or as an emperor of blood. I speak as a human chosen by the throne. You may not trust me. You may not like me. But this war will not wait for your pride. If we do not fight together, there will be nothing left to rule." His words flowed through the throne like a wave. Across the fleets, commanders listened. Soldiers listened. Even the doubters heard him. Lady Enra was the first to answer. "We will stand," Terran's loud voice followed. "For the stars." Then more voices joined. Soon the hall filled with the sound of agreement. The throne pulsed with silver light. "The voice of the stars is heard. The chain is ready." Rian felt something inside him grow stronger. The empire was no longer divided. Not fully, not yet. But they had taken the first step. Outside the palace, the united fleet began to move into position. The Shadow Fleet was still coming. The storm was close. Ryan looked at the glowing star map one more time. He knew the hardest part was yet to come. The storm tests, all the throne whispered. But the voice of one can awaken many. The fleet of the United Empire moved like a river of silver and gold through space. Thousands of ships were linked by the throne's power. The star map spread across the bridge of the palace, showing the positions of the Shadow Fleet far ahead. Their dark shapes moved silently, a shadow of destruction that had not been seen for centuries. Ryan stood on the throne, his hands resting on the glowing arms. The silver light wrapped around him like a second skin. He could feel the pulse of every ship in the fleet. He could feel the heartbeat of the throne. The throne had not just chosen him. It had made him part of its network. Every command, every calculation, every movement flowed through him. Virak was at his side, his expression calm but tense. "The Shadow Fleet moves faster than we expected. We must act carefully. One mistake and the Empire will burn." Rian nodded. "I understand. We will not fight blindly. We will use the chain of stars, the throne, and the courage of every fleet to meet them together. The council leader approached, his face showing both concern and respect. Your first command will test everything. The fleets are ready, but they will wait to see if the human on the throne is strong enough to lead. Ryan breathed deeply. He was still the same technician from Earth in many ways, but now he carried the weight of an empire. The throne whispered inside his mind. Strength is not in fear. Strength is in unity. Speak, act, and bind them together. He turned to the fleet through the throne's communication network. Every ship, every soldier, every commander could hear his voice. This is the moment we have trained for. We face an enemy that does not respect borders, law, or peace. We fight not for pride. We fight for every world under the stars. Stand together, trust in the throne. Trust in each other. The empire survives as one, or it falls as many. A chorus of responses came from the fleet. Voices, signals, and lights moved in harmony. For the first time in centuries, the empire was united under one command. Lady Enra's fleet moved forward in perfect formation. Lady Vra's ships followed, and Terran's heavy warships created a shield around the smaller fleets. Even Lord Sarek's golden fleet joined the line, moving silently in respect to the throne. Rian could feel the tension in space. The Shadow Fleet was approaching steadily. Their ships were dark and angular, made of unknown materials. They did not communicate. They did not negotiate. Their only purpose was destruction. The first strike came unexpectedly. A shadow ship fired a pulse of dark energy that sliced through space like a knife. It was fast, precise, and deadly. One of the Empire's scout ships exploded instantly. The council leader gasped. They have returned with new technology. These are not the fleets of old. Ryan's hands tightened on the throne. Calm. Observe. Lead, the throne whispered. He directed the fleet with clear commands. Enra, take the left flank and shield the scouts. Vra, intercept their advance. Terran, create the central formation and protect the main command. Sarek, watch the rear and prevent flanking. The fleets moved as one. The throne carried Ryan's commands faster than any voice or signal could travel. The ships obeyed instinctively, forming an unbroken line against the Shadow Fleet. The battle began in full. Pulses of energy moved across space. Ships darted, twisted, and fired with perfect timing. The Shadow Fleet attacked with coordinated strikes, but the Empire's fleets reacted with unity. Every move Ryan saw through the throne's link. Every enemy action was met with a counter. The throne spoke inside his mind. You are the voice of the Empire. You are the hand that binds the stars. Act with courage. They will follow. Ryan remained calm. His heart raced, but fear did not control him. He gave clear commands through the throne. Do not chase them blindly. Hold formation. Protect the weak ships. Strike together. Slowly, the Shadow Fleet began to falter. Their dark energy pulses hit shields and bounced back. Their formations could not break the unity of the Empire's fleets. The battle lasted for hours. Stars blazed with energy, and the vacuum of space was filled with silver and gold light. The throne pulsed constantly, guiding every fleet, every movement, every strike. At the center, Ryan felt the Shadow Fleet's command ship approach. It was massive, black, and shaped like a jagged mountain. Its energy pulses were stronger than anything he had seen. The throne spoke firmly. This is the heart of the storm. Focus. Lead. Do not falter. Rian directed every ship at once. Enra's fleet created a barrier. Vra's fleet fired concentrated pulses. Terran's heavy ships charged directly at the enemy. Sarek's golden fleet struck the rear with precision. The Shadow Command ship fired a massive energy wave. It tore through several fleets, but the throne reinforced the shields and redirected power across the Empire's ships. Ryan felt the energy flow into him, and he directed it back with careful focus. The wave hit the command ship, and for the first time, a crack appeared in its dark hull. The Shadow Fleet wavered. Ryan realized something. The Shadow Fleet was organized like a single mind. If he could disrupt its command ship, the rest would fall. He focused all the throne's network power on the enemy command ship. Light flowed from the throne through the Empire's fleets, surrounding the ship with silver energy. The dark energy pulses of the Shadow Fleet faltered. Their movements slowed. Their formations broke. The Empire's fleets advanced. Every pulse from their weapons struck with perfect timing. The command ship's shields collapsed. It spun uncontrollably. Its engines failed. Rian felt the victory before it happened. The Shadow Fleet began to retreat. The remaining ships scattered into space, unable to regroup. The Empire's fleets pursued just enough to ensure they would not return for a long time. When the last of the Shadow Fleet fled, the silence of space returned. The Empire's fleets regrouped. The throne's light dimmed slightly, signaling the end of the battle. Ryan leaned back in the throne. He was exhausted, but the throne kept him steady. The fleets hovered around him, ready for further command if needed. The council leader approached. His expression was awe and respect. You did what no Zathar could do. You united the fleets and defeated the Shadow Fleet. You led with more than strength. You led with vision. Vierak nodded beside him. The throne chose wisely. You were not just a technician. You became a leader. Lady Enra stepped forward. We doubted you, but now we see. The human on the throne is the voice of the stars. We will follow you. Lord Sarek, standing slightly apart, finally spoke. I did not expect this, but I will not deny it. The human has the throne. The Empire stands because of his command. We will honor it. Rian looked at each of them. He felt their respect and their trust. He had not sought it, but he accepted it. The throne whispered softly. The Empire is alive. The chains are strong, but vigilance must remain. The fleets returned to orbit in formation. The palace was safe, and the Empire had survived its first true test under Rian's command. Messages of victory and hope spread across the stars. Civilizations that had doubted the throne now celebrated its human emperor. The council gathered again in the palace. Ryan addressed them from the throne. The battle is won, but the Empire is not safe yet. We must rebuild, strengthen our borders, and prepare for whatever comes next. The throne has chosen me, but it chose all of us together to protect this legacy. The council nodded. They understood. They had seen the truth. Leadership was not about crowns or bloodlines. It was about action, wisdom, and unity. Vierak approached Rian quietly. The Empire will remember this day, not because of a human alone, but because a human showed what the throne could do when it chose wisely. Ryan closed his eyes for a moment. He had been a technician from Earth, unaware of the galaxy's dangers. Now he was the voice of an empire. The throne had not just chosen him. It had awakened a new era. Outside, the stars were calm again. The silver light of the throne spread gently across the palace and the orbiting fleets. The Empire had survived. The Shadow Fleet was gone for now, but the galaxy was vast and many unknown threats remained. Rian felt the weight of responsibility, but he also felt hope. The throne had chosen a human, but it had also chosen unity, courage, and vision. Together, the Empire had risen stronger than ever. The council leader spoke again softly. This is only the beginning. Many will test the throne. Many will doubt its choice. But today, we have seen that one voice guided by the throne can change the stars themselves. Ryan looked at the glowing seat beneath him. He touched the silver armrest and whispered, Thank you for choosing me. I will not fail you. The throne pulsed lightly as if in answer. The voice of the stars flowed through the Empire, and for the first time in centuries, all who were linked felt a sense of calm and strength. The human on the throne had become more than a guest, more than a technician. He had become a symbol of the Empire's hope and courage.